Make some noise for this fella in the bottom right, the final Terran. This is Splice's TY. Give him your love, people. And spawning over in the top left as our red Zerg, it is Solar. We have to give credit where credit's due. Solar played a really great game.
Yeah, 100%. Can't take it away from him.
Yeah, he assessed the situation beautifully. He was like, okay, this is going to be a low econ game where I am piling on the pressure. TY tried to deal with it, tried to deal with the onslaught of pressure, and it looked like he was going to be able to do it pretty decently, but Solar didn't give him the time of the day. Kept bringing queens to the middle of the map, the aggressive spawn crawlers. Also, we have to commend his creep spread. It was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and TY was forced in a situation where he's like, I have to get out there and do something to the Zerg. He keeps deflecting my Hellion run-bys. I have to get out there onto his creep. And he wasn't really able to carve a path through the creep like a lot of Terrans tend to do when they start to get a little bit more dominance, a little bit more army supply. And every fight that TY had in that game seemed to have been on creep unless it was on the higher ground at his third.
Absolutely. When you're a Terran player, you're having to constantly defend from the start of the game. And that isn't TY's strong point, right? He's strong when he's harassing, which we got to see him utilize. The game got crazy. We had 2 siege tanks siege up on the other side of the map, little Hellion squads, Liberators, Majesties. In fact, he threw every unit he possibly could at Solar, and Solar hung on through all of it.
See if he can do it again. Subforest is a bit of a short rush distance. It is also, in my opinion, a pretty strong mech map. There's a lot of high ground, a lot of ambush spots and choke points for the Terran to be able to ambush the Zerg and push them all the way back. Unless Solar managed to get the really great creep spread that he showed in Game 1 again, will be very, very tough. But, of course, there is also the possibility that TY goes for the biopath instead, utilizes his multitasking to be able to drop all over the place.
Both players respecting each other once again. The Overlord scouting around Solar's side of the map just to make sure there aren't proxy Rexes, and an SCV scout as well that came in, made sure he wasn't getting rushed or any sort of one base build. It's very popular on this map. Then denying the third that he thought Solar would take. But Solar's been very smart about just taking the absolute other third. Maybe he knows his opponent. Maybe he read into something with that.
Both these players are former teammates, so it wouldn't be a surprise at all. We're taking a second barracks here from TY.
Oh, well, this is already a very big change-up. This looks like a bit of a 2-1-1 build, but
without the second gas.
Right, and it's done at different timings, actually. In the normal 2-1-1, you would get the second barracks before the factory, but here, TY's doing a different build. I haven't actually seen this one before.
I think this is a Hellbat bio attack, actually. This is something that I've seen a little bit. But, of course, everything needs to marry up, and we haven't seen an armory or anything yet from TY. It's a little bit early for that, so we're seeing a pretty quick third CC in the main base. So that's where he's dumping his minerals. TY loves getting greedy if he can.
Absolutely. So getting these 2 barracks to be able to get out quite a few Marines, but opting for Hellions early on. Hellions serve as a pretty decent tool to threaten the drone lines, force out a few extra lings, and also push back the creep. Pretty much the starting choice for any great Terran out there. By the way, I love the fact that TY, upon losing that first game with a pretty standard mech build, just then totally divvies it up into something else, playing exceptionally greedy with his third already halfway done.
Well, as Terran Batman, he does have a utility belt filled with a lot of things, including Zerg repellent.
I like that, Maynard.
You like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. As soon as you said Batman, I was in. I was in no matter what you were going with. So a very early stim as well. There are multiple Marines joining. A reactor was completed too, so there is no starport on the field, which that's a little peculiar, but he was relying on 1 gas for quite some time. Starport is used on the factory now transitioning into a tech lab. So this looks like a pretty solid build, actually, from TY. We'll see that Solar takes a very early drone lead, just because he hasn't been under any sort of pressure, but he also hasn't been able to scout. If we look at the main base of TY, this is a huge, huge main base where getting an Overlord in past and getting to see all that tech, very difficult. So I love the fact that TY is using the map for a build like this.
Certainly, and we're seeing Solar actually getting a lot of the defenses that he needs up back at home, getting that lair, spore crawler coverage as well, dotting his I's, crossing his T's, dotting his lowercase j's, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely. Solar going even harder on the drones here. There are medevacs being produced, stim on the way. What's the Marine count looking like? 10 Marines, 4 Hellions. This is already quite a scary number. You can't just deal with that with just the 16 links that he has. So I'm looking forward to see how TY handles this, because so far, I'm not sure if Solar sniffed this out at all.
There is a little bit of misinformation here for Solar, of course. We're just seeing 1-1 bio here into tank for TY, a unit composition that he showed real mastery of last year. In fact, I'm remembering TY facing, I think it might have actually been Solar in the, or potentially it could have been Mario Solar, but having really great games on giant maps like Eastwatch, using a lot of these ledges, which are on this map, by the way, for tank positioning, and just having great bio control.
There was some sixth sense by Solar. Before he even saw anything, you saw 14 links being produced and 8 banelings. So there was some little tell, or just some feeling that he had that alerted him, that knew that he had to make those extra units. Maybe it was scouting the third, and he's like, I know this build, I've played against this before, but it looks like he's making the correct number of units, and still, his drone count is in a good position. TY looking to deal damage here.
TY's drop has been spotted though. He had to load up and get on out of there without losing any Marines.
Immediately thwarted. So this is already very good defense by Solar, and he's really hammering down on the Zerglings here, going for a very quick baneling speed behind this +1/+1 too.
I wonder if this is going to be the Ling Flood style that we sort of saw from Rogue on this map, where he didn't really go for Hydralisks or Mutalisks, as you tend to do with Ling Bane, but just using all those resources in lava to just get a huge number of ground units.
And 10 drones do join the field. He's definitely safe for the amount of units that he has. So I love the way that Solar is droning up. He's macroing very hard here. There is a macro hatch somewhere, so Maynard, you might be totally right. A macro hatch in the main. And so far, there isn't any extra tech for Solar. So no Hydralisk Den, no Spire. Not even an infestation pit for some old school stuff. Just pure Ling Bane is the weapon of choice.
And that's actually very, very powerful against someone making tanks. Tanks are actually quite weak against this sort of style. And once you get rid of the splash damage of the Terran, it's very, very hard. And things can snowball in the Zerg's favor. I like this from Solar as well. Going for a slow Overlord drop in the main base with 8 Lings.
What is this, 2016, Maynard?
And they're going to have 1-1 attack very, very shortly as well. 1-1 upgrades in 12 seconds.
So TY used the map for this build, but Solar's using the map for this drop as well. Very nice play by Solar. This will definitely slow TY down quite a bit.
He's in the mineral line doing a lot of SCV damage. Some of those Marines out by the third base had to come back to attack. Nice tank ledge here for TY. Does he have the units to be able to fight back against the Zerg swarm though? It does not look like it.
And Solar shuts down this attack and also dealing economic damage across the map. Solar is definitely bringing it to TY in this series. This is very TY-esque though. A drop here and Liberators coming into the top.
Yeah, multitasking his Liberators around, of course. He does fly past this Overlord, so Solar does know about it. This Liberator's going to go hitting this third base. This one's just right at the main here. A very ballsy Liberator from TY. Solar a little bit late to react on that Queen, takes a bit of damage on it, but keeps it alive. The drone's being denied from a few patches here. TY's Liberator also denying mining from the third base almost completely. So this is good little edge for TY to be able to do against Solar, who's already on a 75 drone economy. Oopsie daisies.
He's definitely slowing down the economy, which is good. And maybe TY was like, hey, I've seen this kind of style before. You have no anti-air besides Queens. Drilling Claws coming out too, a second factory on the way, and a 4th CC. TY's planning on going all the way with this game, boys.
Yeah, if he can get a good number of Widow Mines up, then dealing with Ling Bane is actually quite possible. Could be a nice pick-off here on this potential 5th base of Solar. He kills it. Very nicely done. That's 300 minerals down the toilet for Solar.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the worker count is as close as it has ever been. 2-2 very early for Solar, and I love the fact that he went for such a quick hive too. If you are committing to all these crazy little melee units, you might as well go all the way and get that adrenal glands going. And by the way, that drop, that is going to be pesky for quite a bit of this game, I imagine.
Yeah, this Overlord's the MVP for Solar so far. It's getting over those Vipers and then the Ultralisk Cavern. Of course, the Ultra's extremely scary for a heavy Marine force of TY. He's not been producing any Marauders until right now, actually. So 2-2 is on the way for the Terran, but the upgrade's a lot further along for the Zerg, as you've mentioned. The Lings are in the main base of TY again, getting on top of the production, even potentially picking up this turret that TY put earlier just for this purpose. And he is going to finally get rid of this Dropper Lord and clean up these Lings. And it is very annoying.
Solar's done a really good job of getting his creep spread out. It's pretty decent. He's got good amount of Ling Bane, and also he's been harassing, so a lot of multitasking. That is so many Lings here. TY kind of prepared here. Good tank, good amount of units there on the field.
It's like TY managed to evacuate all those Marines as well. We didn't quite see it, but the Banelings connected or not, but it looks like they didn't. TY saving a lot of his forces on the left-hand side. His army supply also quite good here. I'm just still very concerned about the lack of splash damage. There's so many Zerglings and Banelings for Solar still on the map.
Oh, Solar trying to catch him with the Banelings here, but TY too quick for that. Very fast player. So TY is adding more barracks. He's getting a 4th in a rather difficult location to attack, I suppose, at the 6 o'clock. And TY is just trying to push that creep spread back at this point in time.
30 more Lings on the way here for Solar. He's actually doing a good job of clearing up a lot of the creep in the middle of the map here, and also getting up to the high ground, getting a few more tumors, trying to bait him out into this Widow Mine. Solar! Oh, he lost a lot of banelings there.
Absolutely, and this Liberator harass getting a little bit done. Did unfortunately go over a Spore Crawler, but amidst all this chaos, amidst all this multitasking, little mistakes going to be made. Oh, now he sees Ultralisks. I was kind of wondering, when is he going to see that? When is he going to start pumping out the Marauders, pumping out the Liberators, and a second starport immediately in production?
Oh, TY a little bit late to react here. Actually taking a lot of damage on those Marines. Parasitic Bomb in the medevac as well. Loses one of them. I'm getting a few overseers there. Might have been a 1A there from Solar. And he sees the Spire. Also that the Spire is upgrading, which means Corruptus, not Broodlords. Nice pick off of the Ultra, actually.
Absolutely. It's right before chitinous plating. More Ultras coming in. These are when the supplies get really scary, though, because when a Zerg maxes out, he can use all that extra money on turning those Zerglings into Banelings. That's an upgrade I haven't seen in a while. Ultralist speed coming out, too. We are going to see lightning-paced Ultras very, very soon.
Yeah. The upgrade's called Anabolic Synthesis. Rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it, Ben? Very memorable upgrade.
When you say it, Maynard, anything does.
Oh, I'm blushing over here. We've got the speed upgrade for the Ultras halfway done. +1 attack with the Flyers is on the way, and Solar is just replenishing the Baneling count, and I love it. I mean, TY still not with a ton of splash damage. He is starting now, though, on 2 factories, with one with a tech lab, one with a reactor to make nothing but Widow Mines here, and I love that. Get the Liberator count up, get the Widow Mine count up, and Solar's army ceases to be this scary.
We talked about how he's going to deal with this amount of units, given that he needs splash, right? How many Widow Mines does TY have? I see quite a few scattered around the map. We do have 10 so far, so a decent number.
Ooh.
But Solar catching this 5th base.
Very nice pick off there from Solar, a relatively inexpensive pick off, and he gets rid of that planetary. TY not in position to deal with it. The Lynx and Banelings decide to commit here from Solar. This might be an overextension, though, as the Terran reinforcements come through.
This is getting scary for TY. His economy is pretty fine. 77 workers, nothing to scoff at. But the fact that Solar is so committed to being on the map with this very, very scary and fast army, it's hard to set up everywhere defensively, and so far Solar's finding definitely good little kills here and there. These Widow Mines being scattered around the map, though, these can get some juicy, juicy hits, and all it takes is for one fight to go your way and you counterattack across the map, because TY's done a pretty good job of keeping the creep kind of at bay.
Actually, yeah, it's a good point. There's not a whole lot of creep spread pressuring the Terran. I like this little Link counterattack here from the Solar. I could actually deny the space very quickly. Splitting some Links forward. And actually doing a good job splitting against the Widow Mines. Also coming in for the other side as well, this Rev. On borrowed micro from TY to keep that Widow Mine alive, but another denied command center. Solar also setting up on the left side of the map for a potential attack while TY is not looking.
So far, TY handled that pretty well. Yes, the 5th base was cancelled, but he is making multiple command centers now. He's catching up on the 3-3 upgrades. In fact, does Solar have 3-3 already?
He's actually never started it.
No, never started. That could definitely come into fruition at some point and really change the favor of these fights, because he definitely has the gas to start it.
Solar's army showing itself here to the sensor tower of TY and the bottom side of the map. Oh, the Widow Mine! Bam! Lots of Banelings going down there. Is there still too much Zerg, though? TY coming down with a reinforcement of the 3rd base. Connects with a lot of those Banelings on the bio. Looks like the reinforcements are good enough.
Definitely good hold by TY. These Widow Mines definitely coming into play and doing their job as well as they can. These defensive setups are so hard to break, where you have Widow Mines, you have Liberators, you have turrets, bio, tanks. TY setting up for a very defensive game here. Multiple Liberators coming out, sensor towers too. I love the way that he's defending. So difficult to break a Terran playing like this.
Because the primary army of Solar is Ling Bane, even with Ultras, he doesn't need Ghosts at all here. So just making a lot more Marines, Marauders, and getting the Liberator count and the Widow Mine count up here is going to be the composition of the win here for TY, but it's just about the execution and sheer numbers here for Solar as he rolls on through. The Banelings coming in from the ramp again. TY has a bit of a SimCity thanks to this command center and splits pretty good here as well in his bio. So many units from Solar, though, still cracks through the defenses of TY. The Corruptor's even finding a command center out in the open.
This is just too much Solar, though, at this point. The production tab, 60-odd Lings on the way, multiple Ultralisks, and TY's just getting kind of picked apart here. These Corruptors just flying right on through this base, trying to pick off these Liberators. That's the only thing that can keep TY alive against these Ultralisks.
Yeah, the Marauders also a potential way of keeping them alive, but the Ultras cut through that. The Corruptors also picking off these Liberators. A reinforcement of Links from Solar, finishing TY off in game number 2.
Throwing out really high-level plays against Solar, but Solar is just shutting him down at every point in time.
In the top left here, he's going to need your energy to fight back. From Splice, the final Terran, he is TY! I'm a Terran too.
I was about to say, it'll be you and me, Maynard, the last two Terrans in this tournament. And the villain at this point in time, looking to eliminate the last Terran in the tournament, spawning as the Red Zerg in the southeast side, it is Solar.
Now, why Solar has those fans out there for sure. It seems like the crowd really wants TY to fight back here. And I'm with them. I want more Starcraft. I don't want another 3-0 ban. Even if TY goes down, I want it to be a bit more of a fight.
Yeah. That game, he was on the back foot the whole time. The little kind of attack that he did on the left side and the north side just got deflected very easily. And we're seeing this new Ling Bane only style on that map too, which seems incredibly difficult to hold off. TY just never got to get into the flow of things. He's not usually the guy on the back foot. He's the guy that throws... He throws the kitchen and the kitchen sink at you.
That's right. You got me there. It's very, very true.
I saw you looking at me. You're like, man, Ben's saying some weird stuff right now.
It just suddenly dawned on me how good of a caster you are, and I got lost in your eyes for a minute.
Oh, you dream stud, you. Solar mixing things up a little bit this game, going for an incredibly early third hatchery. Now, he has been getting his hatchery denied, the SCV Scout early on, the Reaper early on too, so he's already mixing up his build a little bit.
Yeah, very, very early third hatchery. We're seeing a few Zergs do this in this matchup. It's against Protosses as well.
It's beautiful when you see players adapt to the other player. They're not just playing the race, they're playing the player now in their different styles that they bring along.
I feel like that's a lot more important than playing the matchup, honestly. These players really do have their own personality in the game.
They're both intellectuals. Like, when I think of TY, yes, beautiful multitasking, beautiful mechanics, but he's a thinker. Solar also, not a pure mechanics player. He's also definitely adapting in this series and throwing out very different ways to handle TY's magnificence.
So it looks like Solar's just going to prioritize mineral income here after getting Ling speed. Going to prioritize getting Queens, drones, as Zergs tend to do at this point. TY actually being a little bit careful with this Reaper here, keeping it at the backside before getting out there across the map.
This is what we talked about, right? He's against a player that is 2-0 up against him. If he lost to a weird Ling Flood that ran into his natural at this point in time, man, you'd kick yourself going out that way. So he has to play extra safe every map for the rest of this series.
Certainly, and we got the first Ling here of Solar coming into that natural. TY's Reaper out on the map. One Ling is not a threat. This is just a scout for Solar. Maybe he gets an SCV. Seeing the barracks for the tech lab, though, is nice scout.
Yeah, most builds that you see, there will be a tech lab building of sorts, but now we can kind of eliminate that idea of it going to be definitely a Hellbat all-in or some kind of like Marine Hellbat timing. A Viking is the unit of choice. There wasn't any Marines early this series, so that meant that TY went for the gas first build, meaning that he gets up these tech structures like factories faster, starport faster, so cutting a few corners is TY, but you've got to make changes if nothing else was working before.
Certainly. Reaper getting very deep here, diving into that natural. Its life almost forfeit at this point.
And does see that it is a later Ling speed, but getting a decent scout off here. Didn't see any Roach Warren. Normally Zergs place it at the back of the natural. It's a bit more difficult to scout there, just because most of the air units fly straight to the main.
We're seeing another tech lab here on this barracks for TY and a Raven. Now, is we're going to see a second factory here once that Overlord goes down?
I'm already curious about... Oh, okay. I'm already curious about what he's going to do with this Raven, actually. Is it going to be something that's used just to clear creep? Is it going to be auto-turret harass? Something that we haven't seen too much in the TVZ matchup this tournament thus far. Quite a fast lair, by the way, for Solar, and combined with a Roach Warren here. Could be some cheeky play here.
It could be. Potentially the Worm from Down Under as well. We're seeing Stim from TY. This looks pretty above board. Looks like a real bio build so far. With the Raven and the Hellions combined, TY, of course, doesn't need a scan to get rid of creep spread, so that looks to be the goal here. There's going across the map and denying creep that way, but it is a bit of a weird unit to get the early stages of the game for sure.
And this Viking has been sharking around the map, dealing with Overlords, doing what it can.
It's his second Raven.
Wow. It looks like this is a very old school start. I remember when the Raven first came in with the turret change, when the turrets came back, but they came back way stronger. Terrans were often utilizing dead airspace on the map just to keep their Ravens alive. Also, the Viking was used to clean up all the Overlords, so that Raven can get in there. And maybe he's just trying to distract with these Hellions, keeping Solar at bay.
He could also be using the Ravens to potentially interference matrix the Queens, if that's something that he wants to do, like some kind of attack that I haven't seen before. I'm just trying to theorize here. TY's brain is infinitely bigger than mine, so it's hard to keep up.
So TY is building a tank, right? He saw roaches on the map. He's getting some drone damage here. Main thing is the denied mining. That's really, really good. And getting a second Raven too. He's going to do a lot of this harassing, I'd imagine, on the economy of Solar. Seeing those roaches also, that's scary because you can always... 3 roaches could quite quickly become 10. And having a Zerg barrel down the map at you, it is a bigger map. But investing in these Ravens means that that's 400 gas that's not on defense. So TY has to be very smart about calculating what exactly is his opponent doing, because he's not really getting to scout that much at the natural and third base of his opponent.
Solar is confirming here that TY, even with this opening, is going to go towards Bio Tank here. Sees that the extra couple barracks have been dropped. His Overseer seeing what it needs to see. And Stim just about to finish off for TY, the Terran. Solar switching gears. Out of roaches, he's getting a Spire.
Spire and a Baneling nest, now throwing down lots of Lings too, so definitely a weird composition. Maybe he's seen the... Well, he definitely knows it's Bio, right? Now
he's seen the extra barracks in the main.
Where are the Evo chambers also? Does he even have them? It's a very, very strange style from Solar. Yeah, no upgrades yet, so forgoing the upgrades and just totally investing on a massive tech switch.
It seems like he has a lot of Lings too.
He does spot the Spire with that scan too, so that is a big deal for TY.
It doesn't have an armory just yet. It just starts it now, halfway through 1-1, which you generally want to do as a Terran anyway to get 2-2 immediately. Armory incredibly important. That means you can get those Thors out. Also potentially drilling claws if he has to deal with Immunosks longer in the game. Raven, surround here from Solar. Good catch with these Lings. TY trying to escape. It doesn't.
I was just thinking, this is really nice usage of the Raven and Hellion, trying to deny creep with that without utilizing scans and just trying to barrel ahead in economy using the mules at home, but that was very nice by Solar. He got the roaches in a good position to stop the runaway with the Hellions. That's a great cleanup for Solar. Now, Mutas coming out. Still, though, no Evo Chambers. This looks like it's just going to be a massive all-in. Oh, now the Evo Chambers drop. I think that's a bit of a mistake for Solar, honestly.
Yeah, you definitely want upgrades here, because if the Terran shoots ahead in upgrades with you as a Zerg, part of the reason why Solar's game went so well on Cyber Forest is because his upgrades were so much better than the Terran for a lot of the game.
Yeah, this Raven's been definitely annoying, though. He's kept these units at home, and there are Mutas coming out soon, though, so that Raven will get quite a surprise and does get shut down.
Yeah, quite a bit of energy on it, which is a shame there for TY, but it has another Raven here with this army. Scans ahead to see the army of Solar, and feels like he has enough units to keep pressuring here.
One of the big things here is he has 1-1 against 0-0. That is a big, scary army for Solar, but they are not on equal upgrades right now. So this is probably the best opportunity that TY has.
Also some armor shredding, dropping in an auto turret as well. TY falling back to the tanks. The Ling's going to be able to surround this one tank and push him back. TY stutter stepping wherever he can. The Marines are getting stuck. Target fire on those Banelings, but not enough target firing. It looks like the Marines are just not high enough in count to fight back. TY's attack gets cleaned up, and Solar presses the issue across the map.
And he's chasing these medevacs. That medevac is full of Marines. Will it be kept alive? It does. One big thing that TY has to keep on top of here. He does have an upgrade lead, but he has to keep on going with that 2-2, opting for a change in tech. He sees the Mutas now. We have Widowmines and Thors. 2-2 is started, yes, so he will retain that upgrade advantage. But these attacks, they didn't work out so far, and losing the 2 Ravens that you made, that's a huge investment.
Drilling Claws and 1-1 done for the Terran. 2-2 has begun, and Thor production with these Widow Mines can really start to be a good comeback tool for the Terran. So he's down at the moment, but not out. His economy is almost 70 SCVs, which is honestly not that bad. Solar on 82, obviously a much better economy. He's heading towards Hive now with that infestation pit going down. But there is potential here with these big splash damage units to have a nice comeback here as far as army fights go for the Terran.
TY is definitely slowing down the pace of the game now. There's no longer drops available, and you can't really drop a player with a ton of Mutalisks. If he plays defensive with them, you're going to have a really bad time. All it takes is for one medevac to get shut down, maybe 2, and a huge counterattack just sprays across the field and darts at you. This is... Oh, I didn't see the Mutalisks with this army. That's unfortunate.
The Muta's going to dart in here. The engineering bays and a bunch of SCVs down here in the natural. Quick response from TY to pull those SCVs out of harm's way. He loses 1. The engineering base being attacked by Solar. Not that many Marines here for TY to fight the Mutas head on. His engineering base are actually under threat here. Needs to bring the rest of the Marines in to keep them alive.
The fortunate... if he denies plus armor, that is very annoying. Even dropping the changelings here to stop the surface area of the SCVs repairing. Wow. That was really cute. Those changelings, he tried to drop them, so it stopped the SCVs from being able to repair. That is really smart play by Solar.
Very, very good stuff. We talked about how intelligent Solar is, and he's showing us here on stage why he's such a scary opponent here for anyone in this bracket. And the creep spread's starting to get out of control as well, Ben. TY hasn't had any presence on this side of the map for such a while.
86 drones. Upgrades on the way, Hive on the way. This is when the Zerg just gets really, really, really scary. You're going to see a ton more Banes being made, as that's the only extra unit that can join the field at this point in time. TY is moving out, is starting to set up these little minefields, but his army doesn't look even remotely as scary at this point in time. But there is a lot of blue marching across the map.
Muta's coming on in here, fighting in a vulnerable mining line there, getting a lot of those SCVs down. TY has 2-2 finished on his army. Is this the time to strike? He has to fight on creep here if he wants to. Solar's army out on the map looking for a counterattack. They might have to come home and help out, or does Solar just have enough on both fronts?
Solar a bit indecisive here, spending a lot of time on the bottom left side of that map, but he is coming back home.
Those Baneling connections, so much splash damage on the Zerg, and he's crushing through the Bio army. The Mutalisk coming back as well. TY getting wiped off this attack.
And he's retreating through the winter mines, but the supplies are not looking good for TY right now. He was close to 200 supply during that fight, but he got swept up. Nice winter mine connection. Maybe that's enough to keep Solar at bay for now, but there's a lot of units being produced for our Zerg player here.
Certainly is. Solar owns this map right now. It's getting harder and harder for TY to come back as these fights keep going. Solar's 2-2, also about to finish here as TY starts +3 attack.
Can we get the income graph for this game? Because I believe Solar has been mining so much more for so much longer, mining 1,800 more resources per minute at certain points in time, and that is a lot of Solar marching at a pretty defenseless point, honestly.
The Winter Mines connect with a few Banelings there, but there's still so many left. They actually don't connect well enough at all. TY forced to live, forced to stand here with what he has left, but there is not enough. Solar rolls through the defenses of TY again, taking SCVs with him, lifting the base, and just taking the map. Solar with a 3-0 over TY.